Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. We can't escape it. Social media isn't going anywhere. And here's the thing, your potential clients are using Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to find counseling and mental health resources. And you, my dear talk therapist friend, could be the one they find if you decide to begin using social media to educate and empower your audience. Today's guest, Jonathan Van Vegan, is a pro at using social media to attract his ideal clients. And on this episode, we discuss how to use Instagram to get more visible. Jonathan is the founder of the Online Therapist Academy, which provides marketing and entrepreneurship education for practicing psychotherapists and talk therapists to expand their online practices. Jonathan's mission is simple. He teaches overworked and underpaid therapists how to build high-ticket online practices so they can do more of the things they love to do. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and I'm really excited to bring today's guest onto the podcast. His name is Jonathan Van Vegan, and honestly, we connected on Instagram. And I always say that social media brings the coolest people into my life, and I have to tell y'all he is one of them. So welcome to the show, Jonathan. Super excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure. It was so nice to meet you on Instagram too. So I'm really excited about this.
Oh, you're welcome. I love what you share. You have so much value and goodness on your Instagram feed. I'm always curious as to what you're going to post. So as we get started with the interview, my very first question I always like to ask is, how did you decide to become a talk therapist?
I've done a lot of seminars with couples so I did my graduate training in marriage and family therapy. So I've been a couples therapist. That's what I kind of identified myself as. And I think it was really out of self-preservation for my own relationship, because I knew that I needed to figure out the marriage game and be good at it if I wanted it to last long term. And so my best friend, he was considering an MFT program. He didn't end up taking it, but then I did. And that is kind of where it all started. So.
Isn't that funny? That is pretty much when I look back over to why did I pick marriage and family therapy. I picked it because I was always curious about my family and the dynamics growing up. And I wanted kind of insight. And then part of the reason I became a counselor was my boyfriend at the time, who was now my husband, broke up with me. And that's the first time I ever went to counseling. And when I got there and started learning about myself and about relationships, I was like, ooh, I want to do this. I was just fascinated by relationships. So I think that's really cool. And I always say that, we talk therapists, we go when we have our own stuff that we want to work on. And I think it's really cool. So can you share about where you live and how you got there? I think this is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, fortunately, my wife is an amazing, incredible woman, and she went along with me on this crazy ride. So back in 2017, it was the last month of my wife's maternity leave of our youngest daughter, Aria, who just recently turned 3. So it was a couple years back. And we were in Thailand, and we decided we stayed a month in Thailand, and we got back to Canada. We went back to our busy North American life with the cars and the house and all this stuff. And we just kept dreaming of travel. And so it was I guess I'm just being too naive, thinking I'm going to quit my practice, close everything down, leave the 6-figure lifestyle, the private practice that I built up, and I'm going to hang out my shingle, and I'm a good couples therapist, and people are going to find me, and we're going to make lots of money and live all over the world. Well, reality hit later on, but to make a long story short, back in 2017, we decided to sell everything, took our 2 girls on the road, and we traveled for a year and a half. And we first went to Belize, and we loved Belize for a month, and then we were in Mexico, and then we went to Vietnam and Thailand. And it was just back on January 1st, we flew back to Asia, back to Hong Kong, where we had return tickets. And we decided just out of a whim to come to Japan. And I'd lived in Japan back in my 20s, and I speak Japanese. And so I said, let's go see cherry blossoms. And my wife was on board, and she said, let's go. And so now you are talking to me. Well, I'm talking to you from Japan. So
Right. And I want y'all to know you're 13 hours ahead of me. So we're
Yes.
recording at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it's a 8:50. No, what time is it there?
It's 8:50 for me. Yeah.
8:50. Okay. So
So
we've we've had a time kind of coordinating this, but I love how this is all coming together. So, okay, I love what you're doing and how you have grown a business and figured out your passion, and it's all coming together in alignment. So tell us about your business, who you help, and what your goals are.
sure, it's a great question because it's evolved over the last kind of 18 months. So I've always been a reverse engineer type guy. So I've been a funnel hacker. I've never been that type of person to pay for a product or to mentor a product. I've always been that one that wanted to figure it out on my own. And so I started couples therapy. I tried to do it online. It wasn't a success until I finally broke down and reached out for help, doing what I normally don't do. And I took a sales training course from a friend. And that's what really kind of kickstarted everything. And so I finally learned a way to be an independent clinician using Instagram, mainly using the Instagram platform to find clients and be able to contract directly with those clients. So I didn't have any of the big organizations, those big directories or the big middlemen. I still have a Psychology Today profile, but I don't really get much business from that. And so that's what I slowly transitioned into that. And then because there are some distinct challenges for therapists working online. So for example, my code of ethics as part of the Canadian Counseling and Psychotherapy Association, we're not allowed to use things like testimonials on our website. And so a year and a half ago, when I'd only made $400 my first month as an online therapist, and I had 3 other mouths to feed, I knew that wasn't going to work. And I knew I needed to make some type of transition and evolve my practice. And that's when I got into high ticket coaching. And so slowly but surely through that sales training, I adapted and discovered how to sell high ticket coaching using the Instagram platform. And that's what I've kind of transitioned to now. And my most recent, I guess, has been the last 4 or 5 months that I've now really thrown myself into training therapists to do the exact same thing. So I do that with the Online Therapist Academy, and that's what I've basically laid down my B2C clients. I don't do very much psychotherapy anymore, except I have some pro bono clients I do. And I don't really do much B2C coaching. It's now mainly just training therapists how to grow a high ticket coaching practice online. So.
Very cool. And what I like the most about what you're saying is you had a problem that you had to solve for yourself and you got really creative and I say a lot like pivot your skill sets, but as psychotherapists, we have everything we need to become coaches, everything in us, all of our training. We just have to, if we want to shift our income, if we want to shift how we're making money, if we want to, really kind of ride this wave of the online space, we really have to think outside of the box. And I love it. I think it's really genius what you're doing. So you shared that you've pretty much grown your practice, your coaching program, and your business on Instagram. I know a lot of our listeners are super curious, me being one of them. How do you, how do you get started with growing your brand, growing your practice on Instagram?
I would say, and I literally just wrote a blog post for our Facebook group today, the Online Therapist Academy, and I literally was just writing the top lessons I've learned about growing a high-ticket coaching program online. And it starts with believing in the value that you offer. And so if you don't believe in that value, you will never find someone who believes in the value before you. And what I found, especially because I didn't sign on with insurance panels and big EAP networks and whatnot, I had to find a way to get my own clients. And how that happens is by looking at every single interaction I have with everyone on the planet from a place of this is a real person. And so I have young girls, I have 11,000 followers on Instagram. I have young women of 20 something soliciting me for sex on Instagram, believe it or not. I literally just had someone a couple months ago. And rather than just like delete and block, I just asked an open and honest question. And I said, hey, what are you really looking for? And we got into this conversation. And sure enough, she told me that she was really looking for a good, solid boyfriend, someone to be in her life, to have a relationship with. And she was from another continent on the planet. And we just had a conversation. And sure enough, she was on Tinder, and I could talk to her about, and we actually together rewrote her Tinder profile. So that I'm a solution-focused grief therapist, and so using the best hopes questions to identify the proper type of guy that would take the time to answer those questions. And I coached her in it, said goodbye, walked away, and I've never spoken to her ever since. But I left this spammy person who was spamming me for a date or marriage or something online, and I left them in a better place than I found them. And consequently, it's resulted in I regularly get DMs from people on Instagram, where I just had one a month or two ago that said to me, Jonathan, what you're giving to social media alone is life-changing. And so imagine waking up to a notification from Instagram from someone who says something like that. So really, it's hustle.
Yeah.
I won't deny it. You have to be able to take the time to reach out and connect with people and be honest with people, DM with people. I spend so much time DMing people, and it's just building a relationship and not seeing someone as something to get out of them, like a client, but giving them value first, and that they will reciprocate and solve your problem, which is your empty spot in your schedule for the week.
So smart. I love it. You are incredible with what you shared. First of all, I love how you say you have to see the value in what you offer and what you have to give. And I think a lot of therapists are so used to seeing their value as an hourly fee, especially in the States. Because I know, I'm in the States, and I talk to a lot of therapists, and I know that they wonder, can I raise my rates? Because I can only work but so many hours. So I really think it's cool how you talk about understand your value and what it is that you're worth. And you don't have to jump, with both feet into this pool, but you can kind of start to put one toe in and play around with it and dip your toe into it and kind of see what you can muster up. So when you say going to Instagram and adding value, where would you have somebody start when it comes to figuring out the value that you offer?
Yeah, great question. Well, so if I split it up speaking to the brick and mortar clinicians right now, so you're going to go to the Explore page, and you're going to type in your area. So let's call it Ann Arbor, Michigan. I've never been to Ann Arbor. I'm sure it's a great place. So you're going to go to Ann Arbor, and you're in the space of helping women between 40 and 50. So you're going to scroll through that page, and you're going to look for those women between 40 and 50 who've posted, they've got images up there of their life. And you're going to go and you're going to drop a relevant comment. You're not going to spam them. You're not going to use a bot. You're going to say, I really love your living room. I really love how you've decorated it. And you're going to start a conversation. Now, you're doing that to build a relationship, because that person may never become your client, but you're starting to move someone from absolute cold traffic to building a relationship where you're introducing yourself and you're just talking back and forth. Now, as you get to know that person, you may invite them into a conversation, or they may DM you. And that happens quite often too. And then all of a sudden you're a little further along in that relationship. The next thing you know, you start through those conversations when they're asking you questions and you're asking them questions. You're maybe doing a live, or you're posting video. They're getting comments and you're sending comments back. You're building a relationship. And the next thing you know, when they need a therapist, they're calling you, because you've already worked and built a relationship with them as a service provider. Or if they have a friend, idem dito, they may refer someone because, oh, you know what? I've got someone in our local area. You can go and stop by and give her a call or him a call and book an appointment. And on the online world, it works the exact same way. You're just looking at the niche and you're building a relationship with someone in the exact same way. And so a lot of the skills I teach at the Online Therapist Academy, whether it's for online or for brick and mortar, now I really focus more on the online, mainly because I think a lot of therapists want to do the work from a beach in Greece. So that's why I kind of push us a little bit, and we should step into the technology because our clients are going there. We better follow. But it's just a skill set, and you just keep nurturing it. And as long as you're not thinking, I've got to get something out of every single interaction, and you just think of just answering questions and providing value to people's lives. And that's, I think, when you begin with that intention, it just serves you really well.
I love it. I love it. And I want to just say, I do a very similar thing on Facebook. You are the IG master And I'm coming over to that world a little bit, but I've been on Facebook for many years, kind of, building my brand and doing everything over there. But I know you can take a lot of this and apply it to Facebook as well. Now, here is where a lot of therapists trip themselves up. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. They'll say, well, I'm a therapist. My IG is private because I don't want to let my clients or patients into my world. How do you help them get around that?
Well, there's a number of different ways. I believe strongly in building relationships. So with IG, you can take two strategies. You can start a theme page or a meme page where you're posting like motivational quotes in the tiles and really not be the face. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really effective strategy for gaining followers. But I don't know if any of us remember, but we are in the talk therapy business, not the right therapy business. We're in the talk therapy business. Mm-hmm. So let's get out there and showcase how we speak, what we sound like, what we look like to the people that we want to either meet us on a Zoom call or a Doxy call or come to our office. So I think it's more important to talk. And so I really push, especially with all the therapists in the Online Therapist Academy Facebook group, I'm really challenging everyone to do the 30-day video challenge, where for 30 days you post one video a day, whether that's the IG stories, IGTV, it doesn't matter where. Now, I've always been very open with my practice because back in Canada, when I had a brick and mortar practice, it was in a very small town, and I'd be in the change room of the community gym, and I'd be half naked with my client that I saw later that day. So I kind of accepted the fact that people are going to get to know me. And so I put my kids on my Facebook page and I experiment on my Instagram. And so I'm less of a stickler for that. Mm-hmm. But for the therapist that really doesn't want to invite people into their life, you can show your prospective clients that you like a pumpkin spice latte. You can take them to Starbucks with you and show them what your tastes are. You can show them the bag that you rock or the Prada that you wear, or it doesn't matter, but you can show them those, or what your food choices are. Are you on the keto diet? Are you vegan? It doesn't really matter, but you can let people into your life and into your world, because in the online space, no one will buy from you or hit your PayPal or buy now button unless they know, like, and trust you. And the only way people will know, like, and trust you is if you have one thing with them, and that's rapport. If you don't have rapport, you've got nothing. And so I see Instagram as just this beautiful space to build rapport with so many people. I mean, 100 billion, or I think it's now 1 billion people on Instagram. So
I'm just over here, if I could put my hands up in the air and say, amen, I'm like, A to the men, Jonathan, you are speaking my language. I will say that is exactly how I've grown businesses in the past, is by showing who I am, my struggles, my challenges. Now, if you're struggling, and I just want to put this out there, if you're struggling with something that you haven't really resolved or worked through, I'm not sure you really want to put all of that out there. I hope that you're getting supervision or you're getting your own therapy, but you can definitely share your life. Like, let's say maybe you are going through something and it's a temporary thing. So what? You can still show who you are. You can still show people what you're interested in. I like to tell people to come up with 5 to 7 things that they could just talk about or that they're open to sharing easily. So if somebody were to come into your office and you're building rapport, what would you be saying? What would you be saying in those first few minutes where the customer, the client, the patient is trying to decide if this is a good fit? You can talk about those things. So yeah, I love what you're sharing. I think this is so spot on. You have to go where the people are going, which is online. Gone are the days. I mean, really, gone are the days of people, looking for a referral from their doctor. Really? Mm-hmm. I mean, they're looking to their peers. They're getting on Facebook. They're getting on Google. They're looking for, so why not have a presence where the people are looking for you? I mean, really, it does come down to that. So I think this is really exciting. Do you have a community that you offer value and support to?
I think, well, at this stage, it's largely with our peers and our colleagues and the other therapists, and we do that at the Online Therapist Academy Facebook group. So that's where a lot of the stuff happens. I just launched the Online Therapist Academy YouTube channel. So I've got some videos that are going up every single week on that channel, on that space. And I also now with my Instagram, so Jonathan Van Vegan. And it's starting to experiment with Instagram because I'm moving into the space of coaching therapists on building a high ticket practice, whether that's a high ticket coaching practice or high ticket therapy practice. I am starting to experiment showcasing some therapists on my Instagram page to connect them with my followers, with their followers, to build an even larger community. Because I've always believed in the independent online therapist. So I'm not interested in growing those big companies' bottom lines and having us sign on because we're nervous about how much money we can make online. And I just saw a Facebook post in one of the therapist Facebook groups that we're all a part of, where someone was advertising a very low rate for an online therapist. It was actually almost shameful how low the rate was, the hourly rate was. And I felt so bad, and I would feel so bad for anyone working for $20, $30. Like, that to me is, we don't do 5 years of education and training and CEUs and go to our conferences and pay liability insurance to make dismal money like that. And in fact, no one questions the physician, the heart surgeon that puts stents into someone's arteries for $20,000 for 2-hour surgery. Because they don't question that, because the value is that physician's entire experience to be able to perform that kind of surgery. And that is where I come back to the value piece with us therapists. If you're good at EMDR, if you're good at somatic therapy, if you're good at SFBT like myself, if you are just good, and you know that you can help people, then what you're helping someone with today is not based on that hour that you spend with them. It's based on all of your experience.
Right.
And so that's why I come back to that. We really need to see that value first. So.
I love that. I love how you speak that confidence, and I love how you speak the value into us talk therapists. It's very exciting, and it's very motivating. And I think so much of having the belief in yourself to do something like this comes from who you surround yourself with. And so I want to share, like, your online therapist academy group is very special. It's very professional. Everybody in there is so supportive and excited for each other. And I really love that space. There are a lot of groups on Facebook out there for people who are counselors. And let me tell you, I'm in a bunch of them, and I just see some really weird stuff. And I'm like, really? And you're a therapist? Come on. And so I quickly take myself out of there. I just don't need that energy. But when you find a group, when you find the right community, you can fly. I mean, you truly can fly. So this has been such a great interview, and I'm so excited for people to discover you. So can you share a little bit about your future plans? Like, what do you have in the works? What are you thinking's next?
Maybe I need to go back to couples therapy with my wife, although we've never technically been to couples therapy because we keep going back and forth. My wife really loves Japan. I really love connecting with therapists. So we're kind of in this space where do we go from here? Do we stay in Japan? Do we go back to stateside, Canada side, North America side? So, but at this point where she's full on in the business with me of growing the Online Therapist Academy, it is quite a lot to get our program and our offer together to help train therapists. And there's so much back-end support. It's an 8-week program. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes. So I love just working with her. And so I think for probably the next 6 months at the very least, we're really going to be looking to add value to bring our clients along to make sure that we continue to build out this program, offer it out. I'm loving the YouTube. I love making videos. I'm really excited to continue to produce 1 or 2 videos a day. I'd love to do 1 a day with the 30-day video challenge, but there's a lot of editing. And yeah, really just focusing on just continuing this push to grow the Online Therapist Academy, just reach people. And I always refer to us as we have the choice where we want to land as therapists on the bell curve. And I really believe in being a top of the bell curve therapist. I think the whole field should be at the top of the bell curve. That $200, $250 rate, $300 rate. But we get to decide where we want to land on that. And there are 8 billion people on the planet. I mean, I think in the US, there's only a couple 100,000 therapists. So we get that choice. And so that's what I believe with the work that we do and where we get to decide this community that we're in. We can decide where do we want to land on that bell curve. And so I guess probably the biggest thing is the next 6, 8 months, 10 months is to just keep shouting from the rooftops the fact that each and every one of us can be a top of the bell curve therapist.
Well, let's shout it, because I believe in it. I'm hoping some of my colleagues and peers are listening right now, because they are incredible therapists, many that I have known for the past 15 to 20 years. And my hope is that maybe they are hearing that it's, they can be on the top of that bell curve because they deserve it. They worked really hard. They're amazing at what they do. They have tons of experience under their belt. And I really hope that this can kind of get the ones that are wondering, is this it? Is this everything that I can charge? Really get them thinking and get creative about where they can go with the online space, because it's not going anywhere. It's only going to, explode and evolve. And why not be on the forefront of it and just, shift your mindset just a little bit, and I mean, I have so many thoughts about this, but this has been super helpful. And I'm so glad that you came on today. So if I'm listening today and I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to start to have more of a social media presence. I'm going to start to build my brand. I'm going to start to add value. And if you're still working, 7 hours a day in a chair, what can you share would be 1 or 2 tips to help that therapist start today? Like, what could they do today that got them going?
So Instagram is hands down the platform that you want to be on. I don't know what the stat is. It's got to be in the 80% that people's time is spent on the big 3, which is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So if you're going to start, I would start on Instagram. Just post. You don't have to post daily. You can post once every other day. You can post once or twice a week. But what you can do with Instagram stories is very quickly, those are the quick and dirty, flash in the pan, fun aspects of your life. You can whip out your phone, you can take a photo, you can have fun with it. I do. The other day, my girls, they went to the washroom in the library, my 16-year-old and my 3-year-old, they went to the washroom. They were 6 minutes gone into the washroom. I managed to do an Instagram story and post it to Instagram. So there's absolutely, with a little bit of hustle, you can actually start doing that.
Awesome.
But it's not, I don't think, a time thing or a time issue. It's a value issue and an ROI issue. Because if you believe that you can grow a business using Instagram, you will use Instagram. And I just want to say that people with a following of close to 0, or let's say you just are starting an Instagram account, we only need 1,000 fans. I don't have 1,000 fans. I've got maybe 10,000 followers, but I'm talking true fans. If you have 1,000 true fans, I think I've heard a statistic that you'd be a millionaire.
That's awesome.
With whatever product or service that you sell. So having 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 fans, you can build it up, just add value to their lives, have fun with it, enjoy the process, and just watch yourself grow.
I love it. Those are such great tips. And I'm just going to reiterate that it's a mindset shift first. You have to find and see your own value before you can actually get out there and do this. Don't, work on that and then start posting, then start creating content, because you have it in you. I mean, talk therapists, you guys, you got it. Like, you have all of these skills in you. You just have to see your own value that you offer to the world. And I think once I got over that mindset shift, everything started to come together. Where can we find more Jonathan if we want more Jonathan in our lives?
Probably, I would say social media is the best place. So either Instagram at Jonathan Van Vegan or at the Online Therapist Academy Facebook group. Okay. And people are welcome to go through our training at www.onlinetherapistacademy.com, where I have a training up. But from time to time, I do run live webinars. And so I've been known to do a lot of Instagram webinars. We've got a really exciting Instagram Mastermind 2.0 that I'm launching. It's going to start in August. So if anyone wants to, they can find me on Facebook, DM me, or on Instagram, obviously. And you can come and meet us bi-weekly in the Instagram Mastermind if you're interested in growing your private practice and your online practice, whether it's brick and mortar, whether that's online. Mm-hmm. And so, those are probably the best places to find me. And I would want to thank you for having me on. This has been really great. It's a real pleasure to speak.
Oh, you're welcome. So Jonathan, thank you so much once again for being on the show today. This has been chock full of value. I'm going to just up my Instagram game starting today. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's been a super pleasure. I've had a great time.
Me too. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.